Let's do this.
We're heading into one of the most important election seasons in a generation. And with so much on the line, your healthcare, your economy, your neighborhood, you deserve more than sound bites. You deserve the full story. KBLA Talk 1580 is your trusted voice for political coverage, commentary, and conversation. From local races to national headlines, we bring you the insight and perspective you need to make sense of it all and make your voice heard. Between now and November, a lot will happen. A lot will change. But one thing won't. KBLA Talk 1580 will be right here, keeping you informed, keeping you engaged, and keeping it real. KBLA Talk 1580, the place for politics. The blackness. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Blackness. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Blackness. Never say die. Never say
You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, joining you in afternoon drive time. We are live and doing the dang thing. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nicordelai. Just type in Dr. Niq, DRNIIQ, and I pop right on up, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app if you haven't already, and be sure to subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast. That way you won't miss every time we drop some of our most memorable conversations. If all you got time for is just our interviews with some pretty incredible leaders on the front lines, and you want to make sure you subscribe to a More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA. That way you won't miss anything. Welcome to hour 2 of our show. Let's keep this thing moving. When we come forward in a little bit, we're going to be bringing in Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown. I mean, I really mean this. If you lead anybody, anywhere, a team, a household, a church, any kind of committee, you need to hear this conversation about her new book on Black women in leadership. But first, it's time for your National News Roundup. Yep, it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day, at least of this hour. And we got to go to Houston because there's a story out there today that really deserves more than a headline. And so we're going to do that in short order, but I got a quick one for you. Disney's ABC is back at it with the FCC defending The View again. At some point, this stops being a story about broadcast regulation, and it starts being a story about which women get allowed to have opinions on live television without a federal agency getting involved. Annual tradition at this point, so mark your calendars. And Yale Law School's dean is fighting a deal with the Trump administration. Keep your eyes on this one. It'll tell you how far this pressure campaign on elite institutions is willing to go and which ones actually fight back versus full quiet. Now, let's slow down for Houston. This is a really important story that I want to lift up. An ICE officer fatally shot a man named Lorenzo Salgado Arujo. He shot Lorenzo Tuesday morning during an attempted traffic stop. And ICE says that he rammed their vehicle and tried to run an officer over. Where have we heard that before? But an immigrant advocacy group in contact with the family says he was actually just driving around a historically Latino neighborhood looking for day labor. And his own son watched him die. His own son watched him die. I really want to be precise here because precision is the whole point today. This is at least the fourth fatal shooting connected to immigration enforcement in the last year and a half. Ruben Ray Martinez in Texas, Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. And in both of those prior cases, video that surfaced afterwards didn't match the agency's initial account of what happened. So when ICE tells us today that this man, quotes, weaponized his vehicle, I'm not saying that's false. I'm saying we have a documented pattern of that exact phrase getting used and then footage complicating the story later. That's not opinion. That's a receipt. A family lost a father this morning looking for day labor in his own neighborhood. Now, however this shakes out legally, that's the human cost sitting underneath the press release language. Sit with that before you sit with the spin. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown.
1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. AMVUTTRA, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, AMVUTTRA was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. AMVUTTRA lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of AMVUTTRA. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about AMVUTTRA for ATTR-CM.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. These are hard times for housing in America. Too many in our community face barriers to safe housing, behavioral health care, and affirming spaces for healing, particularly those impacted by poverty and stigma or incarceration. Rooted in South LA, AMAD supports impacted communities through housing, wellness, and leadership development. AMAD provides culturally responsive, peer-led support from transitional housing and mental health services to leadership development and youth empowerment. They offer safe, affirming houses for youth, transgender women, and formerly incarcerated individuals. Therapy and peer support with a focus on healing trauma in Black communities. HIV prevention and care, free testing, education, and wraparound services for whole person wellness. Standing in the gap with health, housing, and hope. Reach out to Ahmad Institute at 323-569-1610. That's 323-569-1610. Or visit amaad.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and this next conversation is exactly the fuel we need after the last block of the show. Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown, executive leadership strategist, host of the Revolutionary Leadership podcast, and author of the forthcoming Revolutionary Leadership, a Power Playbook for Black Women. Dr. Brown, welcome to A More Perfect Union.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I'm sure so many of our leaders, learners, and listeners are going to enjoy what you have to say. Your book, it doesn't ask if Black women are ready to lead. It actually insists that Black women have always led. Where does that instinct to seek permission even come from, and how do we unlearn that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. We are not waiting to be validated. We are the validators. And oftentimes there are things that, force us to forget that or ask us to rethink it. The leadership that Black women have built inside of systems that never designed for us. I mean, it's powerful. It's not one strategy. It's a whole tradition on how we lead and have led for generations.
Yeah. And talk to us about, your origin story. What made you set your sights, on wanting to learn more about the revolutionary leadership of Black women, in an effort to, not just develop this book, this Power Playbook, but to develop, your podcast and to serve in executive leadership roles? What was it about the revolutionary leadership of Black women that made you want to make that your focus of expertise?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, right where Malcolm X and just so many other people, and it was this core Warren Buffett. So Malcolm X and Warren Buffett, imagine that.
Whoa.
Right. Those are your two leaders. On one hand, it says that anything is possible. And another hand, it's like you're going to have to fight for it if you want it. Right. And so, I mean, I had this desire to be in the C-suite from earlier on in high school. Warren Buffett was our mentor for our Future Business Leader of America's program. Right. And so when you have these aspirations, but then when you're confronted with, oh, this is not for you, I mean, it creates a curiosity and a desire for investigation. There was a time where I was in the back of a conference room and consultants were in selling care and community as future leadership. And I'm like, what? I've watched Black women lead this way my entire life. And, people were writing it down as if this was something new. So I was really interested in, what was underneath all of that.
I mean, I think that's incredible. And I think so many of our leaders, learners, and listeners can relate to that. So many different aspects of Black traditions, whether you're talking about faith traditions, or, just the way in which we've seen brothers and sisters lead in our communities over the years. And it's always so
Yeah.
interesting when McKinsey comes out with a study, or you hear some big university that
Yes.
puts a name to it, puts a brand to it, and we're made to
Yes.
think that it's something different than what we have grown up witnessing ourselves.
What we've always known, what was always in our core. So there's this thing about, if you can't see it, you can't be it. But we saw it. And then people were trying to reinforce that's not what we said. And I was like, should I believe you or my lying eyes? Right. And so we know that it's there. We have never just navigated the system. We were rebuilding it every single time. We were the path makers. And moving. We were not just surviving, we were striving, thriving in broken systems. And so that's, just the premise of my research, the premise of my work, and just wanting to have a public conversation about it, wanted to write it down so others have it to follow.
Yeah. There's so much power in giving it the opportunity to live on the page and in real life. To live outside of our minds. Talk to us about, what does leadership actually look like when it starts at a kitchen table, or when it starts in a church basement, versus how corporate America defines it in the boardroom.
Yeah, so this is very interesting. Let's think about Harriet Tubman, for example, a commander, not a caretaker. And we kept inheriting our geniuses with the strategic sands off. So, I'll pull back. Harriet Tubman, we inherited her as gentle, as a woman who quietly led folks to freedom. If we turn the lens, she ran intelligence. She read terrain, weather, patrols, and timed everything against people hunting for her for money. They were hunting her down. Right? So 19 missions in a hostile territory. Everyone is home, right? And if we connect her now, every woman who built a back channel, every woman who built a network, a way into the front door was locked. And we're still running the same play, but we don't think about it like that. We don't lift it up as leadership, as genius. And so that's what has me really excited, to just reimagine the things that we have been told and just sort of claim it back. It's and documented and what's repeatable. Let's do it.
Speaking of claiming it, you talk about owning your narrative instead of waiting on institutional validation. That's really a strong through line in your book. What does that look like in practice for women that are climbing the ladder right now today?
Well, I would say what it looks like in practice is, thinking about the things that are broken, right? Again, not just surviving, not just climbing, just rebuilding a new road through it. And so doors won't open. We've experienced that time and time again. She knocks and, cuts away at a new door, right? So maybe it's not a door, maybe it's a window, but then leaves it open behind her, right? And so that's really the center of the book. And a woman is shut out of golf games, starts breakfast, and opens it up to everyone, not just the people at the top, not just the people that, she knows. And years later, the company, she saves the company and she's a VP, right? We don't hear about those stories, right? We hear about, how hard it is for Black women. And it is hard, but it's hard because we're thriving, right? And the goalpost continues to move. So that has me pumped just to, be, just to hold that analysis and, help to chart a new way.
Yeah. I think your research, this book is really hitting at a time where, we're seeing a lot of people have to really sort of dig into their imagination.
Yes.
Really having to pivot. really feeling shut out of industry altogether, and having to create that business, in order to continue to grow professionally, in order to take care of their families. For the purpose of your research, have you talked to women, who are in that space? I understand folks who are navigating corporate America, but for the Black women entrepreneurs out there,
Absolutely.
that weren't planning the pivot, but as a matter of survival, have to.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what you've heard from them.
Yeah, so entrepreneurs were a part of my research as well. I am an entrepreneur. And so, you know, the state of being a Black woman right now is, has been, cut first, funded last. The layoffs, that started in 2024, 2025 hit us the hardest, right? Programs were built for us back in 2020 when everybody was really excited about seeing Black women thrive. They have been quietly defunded. And we watched the most prepared women in the country meet a door that would not open, And so there's something about being shut out and the innovation that is created when you need to do something, right? So it's like the same pattern, the largest possible stage. And, they want leadership. They need our labor, our brilliance, and they can't discard the builders. And so it's just a lot of contradiction. And so Black women are the largest growing segment in entrepreneurship. They have been for over a decade, right? So it is not new. And we're adapting. And we are moving, and like they say, create a way out of no way.
We sure know that. I mean, as you say that, I'm thinking about the women in my family and the women in my orbit who are on brand with that, making a way out of no way.
Absolutely.
Given everything that's happening politically just this year alone, you talked about 2020, you talked about 2025. I mean, it's 2026, July 2026, and it feels like, in these past 7 months, almost 7 months, it feels like we've lived 7 years.
Yes, like dog years, right?
Right. Especially considering not just the DEI rollbacks, but a number of our civil rights being eroded. Talk to us about what courageous leadership demands of Black women specifically right now, because there's some people that say, we should be demanding a damn thing from Black women in this moment. But you talk about courageous leadership in your book. What does that demand?
It just demands, staying steady, right? The environments are always going to be there to try to remind us that who matters and who does not. We have to cut it off. We have to not listen, right? It is hard. It's been hard these last, 7 months. Like you said, it feels like dog years. And we have been through harder things. We have been through tougher things, and we still rise in our genius. And we have to remind each other of that as well. We have to continue to support one another. We have to move in a way that we're just not thinking about it like, what is in it for me? Because that's not, the people in which we come, right? We're solving for the people who are most impacted because we know it benefits everyone. And so continuing to hold on to that, continuing to move through that, continuing to invest in yourself, right? Now, this is a time where, we sort of paused and said, hey, we can't continue to give without getting anything back. So thinking about how we are refilling ourselves, how we are reinvesting, in ourselves, not just by circumstance, but really as a strategic choice, building that infrastructure that is required for us to be our best, even when people are not ready for us to be.
Yeah. And speaking of building that infrastructure, I just want to zero in on the human infrastructure, because as you were talking, I couldn't help but think about solidarity with Black women. And your book obviously is speaking directly to Black women, but we know that there is a role that Black men, that Black families, that people of conscience play in supporting Black women. And so, what's your message, to folks who might be re-examining their solidarity politic in this moment?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's just like solidarity, not the surface level solidarity. Like we are in it together, and then go back and live your lives as if it doesn't, as it doesn't matter, right? And so, really, this book serves three purposes. One, it's a power playbook for Black women, right? And a redesign manual for organizations. And it's a record of our leadership traditions. Like many people don't know our leadership traditions. Again, Harriet Tubman, a mother figure, not a badass. And we know that she was, right? And so, there's just a lot of things that people, can do. So we're not talking to the people who are, right there with us, changing those systems as we lead to ensure that once we crack the door open, that or kick the door open, they're not closing it back. Once we shatter the ceiling, we leave it shattered, not trying to repair it.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown. She is the author of the forthcoming book, Revolutionary Leadership, a Power Playbook for Black women. She's also host of the Revolutionary Leadership podcast and an executive leadership strategist. More with her when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Okay, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Corte on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The NAACP is investing $20 million on midterm elections, more than any other election in history, to fight voter suppression and boost Black voter turnout ahead of the midterms. The campaign will target 6.5 million Black voters across 33 congressional districts in 14 states, following recent court decisions weakening the Voting Rights Act and eliminating majority Black districts in states like Tennessee and Louisiana. President Trump says the flagrant foul against Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark last month was a, quote, pretty bad event, end quote. He referenced the June 24th incident involving Phoenix Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas, who was Black, who was suspended one game after making contact with Clark's throat. And former Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum, who is Black, is facing new charges after being arrested last week in Alabama. Jail records show he was booked on drug and paraphernalia charges before being released the next day. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Coco Gauff is making a serious challenge to win her first singles championship at Wimbledon. The 22-year-old African-American from Delray Beach, Florida, advanced to the Wimbledon semifinals for the first time in her 8-year career. Tuesday morning, Coco defeated Jessica Pegula of Buffalo, New York, 4-6, 6-3, and 6-3. Coco will play Carolina Muchova of the Czech Republic on Thursday. A win Thursday moves Coco into the championship match on Saturday. The Wimbledon singles champ will earn $4.75 million. This is the sixth time Coco has played at Wimbledon. Before today's win, she had never gotten past the fourth round. The Dodgers are the first team in Major League Baseball to reach 60 wins. They beat Colorado Monday night 8-7. The Dodgers have the best record in baseball at 60-32. They take on Colorado again tonight at Dodger Stadium. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
As the poet laureate of Harlem, Langston Hughes, once said, I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, They'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. KBLA Talk 1580 and the Inner City Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles invite you to attend the 18th season finale concert, I Too Sing America, honoring the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, this Sunday, July 12, 3 p.m. at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Curated by conductor Charles Dickerson and performed by the largest orchestra of color in the nation, I Too Sing America promises to be a show you won't soon forget. This Sunday, July 12, 3 p.m. at the Walt Disney Concert Hall in downtown Los Angeles. Purchase tickets at icyola.org or from the Music Center box office at musiccenter.org.
I Too Sing America.
Word! Progressive isn't a party, it's a people. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Let's get something straight, shall we? Holding a black elected official accountable is not the same as having a personal beef with them. That distinction matters, and too often it gets blurred, sometimes on purpose, I think. The minute someone raises a real concern about outcomes, about votes, about spending priorities, about broken promises, it gets reframed as an attack, as disrespect, as tearing down our own. We need to stop that, y'all. That framing does a disservice to the very communities these leaders represent. Accountability is not betrayal. Accountability is what elected office requires from everybody, regardless of the seat or who's sitting in it. Let me ask you a quick question. Do you think I have a personal beef with Donald Trump? It ain't personal. It's his anti-black policies. You feel me? So why is it always framed as personal animus when the critique is in black? See, you can miss me with that mess. Black communities have fought too hard and for too long to get representation at the table. That fight doesn't end once someone wins an election and becomes president of the country, or for that matter, the city council. If anything, it raises the stakes. Representation without results is not the goal. Representation that delivers, now that's the goal. So, in the future, when we talk about a policy failure, let's talk about the policy. Let's keep our eyes on the actual record, the votes, the budgets, the promises, the perennially missed deadlines, the outcomes in people's daily lives. Because the moment we start treating accountability as disloyalty, we lose the ability to ask for better from anyone. We must never surrender our agency to be outraged when our leaders underperform. Our communities deserve leaders who welcome scrutiny, not ones who hide behind identity to avoid it. Now, let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and I've really been enjoying this conversation with Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown. She's an executive leadership strategist, host of the Revolutionary Leadership podcast, and she's also author of the forthcoming book. It's called Revolutionary Leadership, a Power Playbook for Black Women. Dr. Brown, thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being in this conversation with you.
Yeah. Well, so I'm thinking about our leaders, learners, and listeners who are riding along with us in afternoon drive time at the moment, and particularly for the young women young women like my nieces
Mhm.
who are listening right now, who may be the only one in the room. What's one
Oh
lesson
my gosh.
from the book that my nieces and your nieces and somebody's nieces out there
Yeah.
can use today?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to a lot of these young women. My daughter is a young woman as well, just sort of navigating. The thing that I do remind them consistently is that we don't rise alone, that you rise connected. So even if you are the only one in the room, you have to build webs. So the women who thrive, they built webs, not ladders, right? And
Mm.
so just thinking and practicing, and a lot of young women now, they've grown up where it was just like, individual. I was the best at everything, and I was the top of my class, and very individualistic leadership. But that's not, how things work. It will become very, very lonely and isolating, and it's not liberating, right? And so just thinking through, how do you build your web? One person, one mentor cannot do that. You need many professionally, from your community, from your church, even like reach out and be sure to make sure it's reciprocal. Right. And so not just, reaching for a transaction, for a one thing to happen. I talk about friend raising, quite a bit. We're very familiar with fundraising. Same concept. How do you continue to invest? What's sustainability look like? You're going to need friend raising along the way. People who will lift you up when you need to be lifted, will call you on your stuff when that is necessary. But you have to be, in a process with others, so that things are sustainable. If not, you will burn out quick.
I mean, that is some sage advice. You over here dropping gems. I love the concept, of uh, uh, webs, building a web, and not so much ladders, because webs are more sustainable, to say the least. And I absolutely love, the idea of us, you know, not being afraid to lift one another up. Look, I got plenty of friends, ain't got no problem calling me, raising money for this and that and
Yes,
this and
yes,
that.
yes.
But it is a total different proposition when it's just about lifting one another up.
Hmm.
And, at a time like this, where we need more radical imagination, where we need more courage, we need to be lifting up those friends that are demonstrating that and more. Just as a follow up, I'm wondering what distinction uh, would you make based on your research in terms of how Black women lead versus how Black men lead?
Here's the thing. I use a very group specific application because Black women are amazing enough that we don't have to be compared to anyone, right? And again, if we are the benchmark. Yeah, there's a lot of um, you know, analysis that I would do in the book that would say, well, this is not built for us. Like these things happen, but we don't have that access. But I really don't compare Black women to anyone else.
You know, I I I
And
I take your point there. I take your point there.
uh-huh.
But I'm not the first person to say or to observe that
Hmm.
there are some Black women that, in terms of their leadership, um, people will attribute that to a more masculine presenting style of leadership,
Yes.
versus what people sort of think of as a more sort of feminine, softer style of leadership. I want to give you an opportunity to sort that out for our leaders,
Yeah.
winners, and listeners.
Yeah, because there was a leadership model, right, that said that these are the things that you do or that you should do without women in, without Black women in mind. And when, Black women would say, be very sure, be very clear and assertive, there are other things that come along with describing, who she is. And when there was care, when Black women did bring care, did bring humanity, did bring curiosity, it was dismissed as soft skills, right? And the interesting thing now is that's what we are teaching the men that we held up, that was the foundation of our leader, or at least who people had in mind on what leadership should be. And so yes, absolutely, there is there is a difference in the way they say that we lead between men and women, and across the racial divide as well. And there's no one model for sure, because that one model that we have been given in schools, in companies, development programs, we have the research that it doesn't work for us. And the research, the evidence is in when we think about how many women are leading at the top of institutions, how many women are leading countries, especially ours in America. I mean, we just recently, went through that. They want the leadership we built, and they discard the builders, and that's a contradiction in full.
Yeah. If you could hand every Fortune 500 CEO one page of this book, which page would you hand them, and why that one?
There's a chapter on measuring, right, and the measuring leadership, or measuring leadership in a way that measures the way that most people sort of show up. One of my new findings in the book is that we're done measuring leadership by how much it costs us to survive. Right. So they're saying, well, this person puts in so many hours, and, they do, long, road trips. They have this massive amounts of work and accountability. But sustainability is not sacrifice. That's one of my newest findings in the book. And it's a shift. The work-life alignment, ranked among the strongest predictors of whether these women counted themselves successful, not higher than a title, not higher than promotion, and community connection ranked right behind it. And so there's a lot of, research and analysis in the book on, what's required for leading, and also making this assertion that what organizations need now, we have already built and have been practicing it for generations.
Dr. Brown, I've got to ask you, what's a piece of revolutionary leadership that you had to learn the hard way that you wish somebody else had told you a little bit earlier?
Being, one of only in many rooms, you have the potential to be set up or trapped in this scapegoat or the savior, right? And so just learning, over time that I can create another option, and that's redesign. And that's, the beginning of my organizational transformation work. And so, I think that is pretty powerful, because we're still in situations where we're one of only, or one of a few. And I'm just really excited about the analysis around it. And even I talk about it on my podcast. That was the first episode. It's the revolutionary part is avoiding the trap and creating something different.
Yeah. I love that. I think there's a clip that's gone viral of Oprah Winfrey at the Cannes Lion Festival in France, where I guess she was asked a question during an interview about imposter syndrome, right? And I think imposter syndrome, I think it's a strange, I understand what it is, a little strange to me, right? But, Oprah was sort of leaning into that question, and she might have surprised some folks saying that, she's never suffered imposter syndrome because she never had this idea that she didn't belong there. I'm summarizing it, but she said essentially, if, God blessed her to be in, certain rooms or in certain roles, she didn't question that. She believed that she was exactly where she needed to be. And even more than that, she believed that she wasn't alone. She's very conscious of standing on the shoulders of our ancestors.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, that classic, quote from Maya Angelou's poem where she says, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000.
Yes.
Did that viral clip of Oprah, did that also resonate with you? And what does it echo from, your book on revolutionary leadership?
Absolutely. It did resonate with me because, I hold quite often, and I often, in my coaching practice, is to remind women that everything that you've done up to this point is preparing you for what's next. And we don't know what next is going to always be. And yes, it could be a little lonely and, and isolating. I didn't suffer from imposter syndrome, either. And there's a lot of research and talk about, if it's a thing, if it's not a thing. But if it wasn't intended for me, then I wouldn't be there. So how do I not mess it up? How do I make it count for whatever is next? Now, there have been times where I had to evaluate, did it cost me more to be here than the benefit, and then figure out my exit strategy and pivot, right? But that wasn't imposter syndrome. That was everything about the system. And it's very easy for us to adopt that it's me, personally, not that this is a system that was not designed for my success.
In our remaining minute with you, Dr. Brown, what do you want readers to feel, not just know, but what do you want them to feel by the time they close this book?
I want them to feel seen. I want them to feel that they have tools at their fingertips. In the book, there are some questions at the end of every chapter. They're full of frameworks, blueprints, and there is something in there for somebody. There's more than just something. There's a lot in there for anyone who wants to dig in, whether you're a Black woman leader or, you are changing the conditions for Black women to lead without exhausting and costing more than we're receiving.
It really sounds like this book is so incredibly timely. I mean, here we are sitting at basically the 50-yard line in the year 2026. And it seems to me for folks that may want to finish the year strong, this book is a good investment. It's a good investment of your time, of your talent, of your treasure. And I really want to encourage people to go out and pick it up. But Dr. Brown, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just going to say, it's a source. People can learn from this source, and we're always looking for ways to lead. And that's why, it travels.
Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown, author of Revolutionary Leadership, a Power Playbook for Black women. Where can people go to follow you and pre-order the book?
Okay, Revolutionary Leadership, a Power Playbook for Black women, launches August the 4th. Pre-orders are available now. You can find it and me at revolutionarylead.com.
Our thanks to Dr. Kerry Mitchell Brown. Godspeed, and thank you for your work and your witness.
Oh, thank you so much for this powerful conversation.
Absolutely. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. And we're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity, and you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at KBLA1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF.
I think my LADWP bill is due, but nothing's come in the mail yet.
You still get paper bills?
Yeah, it's how I keep track of things.
Clearly, it's not working. You can't remember when it's due. You need to sign up for paperless billing. I get an email when my LADWP bill is due. I never have to wait on the mail, and I can see 7 years of bills in my online account. Plus, first-time signups get a $10 bill credit.
$10 bill credit for new LADWP paperless billing signups. LADWP.com/paperless.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way. You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. You might remember just yesterday we had California State Assembly member Mike Gibson on the show. He was talking about his now deceased staffer, Eric Washington, who was killed in Compton over the July 4th weekend. Someone who has an incredible track record as a community worker on the front lines, a leader on the front lines. So many folks that are mourning the loss of Eric Washington, not just folks in the office of State Assembly member Mike Gibson, but there were a number of electeds he worked for. I think I saw City Council member Joe Buscaino put up an Instagram post referencing his experiences with Eric Washington. There are a number of folks who are part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated who've been posting their memories and their tributes to Eric Washington. You might remember that Assemblymember Gibson mentioned there was an organizing effort afoot for a march that's coming up. And when we learn more about that, we will absolutely let you know. But for now, we turn our sights to just another heartbreaking story, this one coming out of Mississippi. We're going to close today the way that we should always close, with community, because that's the through line underneath everything that we've talked about. You know, Doug Wilson wants to shrink who gets a voice. ICE is out here making split-second decisions that end lives, and half of Americans can't afford groceries. It's a lot to carry on one drive home. And then look at this, a GoFundMe for Nolan Wells. It hits 6 figures overnight. Tributes pouring in from everywhere. That's the story underneath every other story today. When the system fails us, when the institutions don't show up, and when the powerful, when they get to decide who counts and who doesn't, I want to remind folks that we have never once waited for permission to take care of each other. Not during slavery, not during Jim Crow, not during redlining, and not today. On a random Tuesday in July, when a family needed help and the internet showed up before the government ever would. That's not new. That's not a trend. That's tradition. That's us. And wherever you're headed on your afternoon drive right now, call somebody. Check on somebody. Be somebody's 6-figure GoFundMe today in whatever currency you've got. Time, money, a phone call goes a long way. And that's all we have here today on this show. I want to thank the village that helps us produce the show each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Brother Andy, to our show producers, Art Sears and Faraji Muhammad, and of course, each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. We curate the show every day, sometimes up to the minute. Brother Andy will tell you, sometimes up to the minute, because we work for you. And we're going to keep it that way. Until next time, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Recent court decisions weakening the Voting Rights Act and eliminating majority black districts in states like Tennessee and Louisiana. President Trump says